I am me. He is him. Oklahoma State, West Virginia get to kick off Big 12 football conference play this season. The old school Rich Rod, the new school Eric Morris, they have probably more similarities than most of us realize.
You are Locked On College Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Paul, we have arrived. Conference football slate gets Oklahoma State, West Virginia in Morgantown. And you know what? I'll tell you this before we even get rocking and rolling. If we're both undefeated, perhaps it could be a night game. I'm speaking kind of crazy. Okay. I know our schedule. I know your schedule, which we're going to talk about them a little bit. But before we do get rocking and rolling, what was the first thought you had when you noticed that we get to begin conference play against each other?
Of course, right?
Okay.
Why wouldn't it be any other way? Especially the situation we were in at the time where I was doing both shows. And so it worked out. Obviously if you're a West Virginia fan, it's probably a bit of a scary matchup because of the potential offense you guys will have. I don't think your defense is anything anybody's writing home about as far as being scared of just yet. Maybe that'll change. Maybe that'll change by the fourth game. And obviously, you'll know how good West Virginia is by that time because we have played Virginia, who is in the ACC championship game and returns a lot of talent this coming season. So I think we'll have a lot of answers about West Virginia coming into that game. And I don't know about Oklahoma State's previous schedule of that, but I'm assuming we won't have very many about you guys yet. Or do you guys have any tough non-conference?
Yeah, we get to start the season with Tulsa, followed by Oregon and Stillwater.
Okay, yeah. No, we'll know all about you guys.
Huh? Yeah, you see what I did there?
Yeah.
Yeah. And here's the deal, man. Coastal Carolina, right? They're in a little bit of a different situation, but traditionally speaking, at least as of late, you could look at that and say, well, that's not easy. It's not going to be easy for West Virginia to come into the Oklahoma State game undefeated. But what do you have to say about that? And then UT Martin, Oklahoma State fans have a little bit of familiarity there as well. What are your thoughts about those matchups before the big-time Virginia game?
Yeah, if the thing about Coastal Carolina, they're one of those – they're one of those around the country, Tulsa being one, Coastal turning into that. I thought Liberty was going to become sort of similar to that. And, these stepping stone jobs where guys go and get really good because it's in the South. It's real easy to recruit. It's right there on the beach in Myrtle Beach. But, they're in the middle of a full rebuild where they lost everybody. They brought in 60-plus players. And so talking with people down there, they're not expecting to be so good this year like they have been. Okay. But it's still a tricky game. I mean, you still want to be – you're not playing you're not playing an FCS team to start. You're playing an FBS team that pays some players, and I'm sure going to be ready to go. Obviously, will be a huge measuring stick game for them, and if they can win that, it would be a monster upset. So they're going to be doing that. UT Martin is a team, obviously, that has been ranked in the FCS. They've been really good in the FCS over the last few years. So you never want to overlook a UT Martin. But I think, with the way West Virginia is built coming into this year with the leading rusher, you guys have the second leading rusher from last year, and the offensive line, what we put into it, which is a few $1 million, right? A lot of money. To rebuild that. So you would hope that West Virginia is able to bulldoze these early opponents.
That would definitely be the hope. Okay, speaking of bulldozing, Oklahoma State has Eric Morris coming in, right? There's a lot of, I would say, again, crossover between what he's been able to do as far as the acquisition of talent from North Texas to Stillwater. You went through something comparable with a lot of the Jack State talent going with Rich Rod to West Virginia. The season did not go, obviously, the way that you guys were hoping. You mentioned off air that Rich Rodriguez has not been very bashful about saying this was a disaster. You can't have this happen at West Virginia, so on and so forth. But you saw that ESPN did sneak Oklahoma State into the potential CFP field next year. I'm not ready to jump into those orange-colored waters quite yet, but it is being put out there. You have the old school Rich Rod, the new school Coach Emo. Do you think it puts pressure on Rich Rodriguez and the entire conference to some degree if the Cowboys do have an immediate 9-win season?
Absolutely. I mean, if you're still in the dust and your peers are successful, especially in year one, then absolutely. I think there's no doubt about it. Unfortunately, though, I would just say that, one thing that you guys were gratefully able to experience, unlike what we were able to, is we got no portal window, we got no high school class. And so that would be like giving Eric Morris the reins today and saying, hey, okay, with what's left out there, go build a roster now, right? As if you were giving somebody the reins right now and said, go figure out what's left out there in the portal and build a roster and still bring in 60 of those guys.
Right. Yeah.
And expect it to be good, right? It's, we drank the Kool-Aid because as fans, I think that's what we do. I did. I tried to look for the best in those players that came in. And the thing is that some of them were really dominant players at the level they were at. It just didn't work. And
right.
You couple that with the injury factor that West Virginia had that was unprecedented. Rich Rodriguez said, I've only had this once in my 30-plus year career, right? Where your first, second, third, and fourth string guy goes out at quarterback. Then your first, second, third, and fourth string guy goes out at running back. And even your fifth string guy got hurt at running back at one point. So, you're playing with a guy named Tyler Jacklich at running back who is transferred, I think, in the middle of the season. And it's just, it's not really great. So, I don't know. There are comparisons to make from the Jacksonville State side of things. Absolutely. Because Rich Rod was able to transplant some of that culture into it. It's just that the sheer number of North Texas players, you guys brought over.
Oh, yeah.
Would be a much closer Signetti comp than it would be a Rich Rod comp.
Okay. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Well, speaking of the Jack State stuff, give us a little bit of a rundown on Cam Cook, brother, man. You cannot seem to be, more excited about anybody coming in.
Right.
Is that, you think, probably the cornerstone while you're figuring out some things offensively that can be the guy that you guys lean on to get where you're needing to be this season?
You look at what he did as a true freshman at TCU. He ran for close to, I think, 500 yards or something like that. I'd have to look at it again, but he was really good in the Big 12 already once before, had an injury and decided to, I'm going to go down to Jack State, and I know a good place that runs the ball. That's Jack State. Jack State's, if you go look at Jack State's record, which, has a lot to do with the way Rich Rod plays ball with running backs over the last few years. I think they've had the leading rusher 2 out of the last 3 years there. So, and the other time, I think they were top 2 or 3. So, that's just the byproduct of the Rich Rod offense. I think he had probably, he had 290 carries last year. So he is a workhorse. He's a 3-down back. He's a guy that, I really like him from he's really good. I compared him to Le'Veon Bell a little bit.
Yeah.
Good at changing speeds, right? May not have elite top end speed at the 4.3 level, similar to your guy, right? Hawkins, not elite top end speed,
right?
But everything else he has.
No, I think, Caleb Hawkins runs very reminiscent of Ollie Gordon. It's the same kind of running style.
Yes, very similar style. So, but with Cam Cook, he's a very patient back. He's really good at reading, and the zone scheme is really, really great for him. He's able to choose and pick which holes he hits, and he's really good at figuring out which ones are good. And he does a good job with that. He's also an excellent receiver out of the backfield. So that helps a lot with him being a 3-down back. And you look at what he did last year, 1,900 plus scrimmage yards. It's hard to do. Can you get that at this level? I don't know if you can get 1,900, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was at 1,200 or 1,300 by the end of next year.
And dude, I tell you, from an Oklahoma State perspective, staying in the vein of running back, we talk about Caleb Hawkins a lot, right? And we have been able to bring back some talent at the running back position out of the transfer portal. But I'll tell you what, man, Katie Batman Jones, that freshman that will be coming into Oklahoma State, I think that's a name that everybody needs to pay attention to early. It's a name I probably haven't talked about enough, especially recently. You talk about the running style of Caleb Hawkins. Again, you go back to that thunder and lightning kind of concept. Katie Batman Jones accentuates a lot of that. Io coming over, right? He had a lot of success at North Texas before getting passed up at James Madison. I do think that he will be an integral piece of the backfield, but Katie Batman Jones is kind of that home run hitter that we obviously lose with Rodney Fields taking his talents to K-State. But I think you could also make the argument that as far as pure line speed and breaking into the open field, Katie Batman Jones might have a little bit of more versatility than even a Rodney Fields. So I can tell you, we're insanely excited. I know you guys are excited, but I think part of the biggest emphasis on this is that it's going to put pressure. I think if Eric Morris has a ton of success, like you mentioned, it does put pressure because I think, is it fair to say West Virginia fans originally with Rich Rod coming in were very, very happy with a 4 or 5, 6 year kind of, okay, we're playing for Big 12 titles rebuild. Would you say that was fair?
Yeah. We all knew it was going to be a grind because of the, especially like if you're talking when you say 4, 5, 6, do you mean like the long game? We were cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely.
There was nobody in Morgantown that was like, well, Rich Rod better come in and win within 2 years or else kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, there are fans. I'd say there's probably a large portion of the fan base that's like that because of the way he left the first time and went to Michigan, right? So I would say there's a large portion of the fan base that hasn't forgiven him for that. Like when I say large, I mean like less than an eighth, right? But I mean, that's still a lot of people. The majority of the fan base is pulling and rooting, but there are some people that just think he's a scavenger, right? Like never going to forgive him kind of thing.
Yeah.
He just can't, every time something goes wrong, it's because he's a scavenger and he's just a liar and all these things. So, and I get it, the way he left was tough for a lot of us. I mean, you're literally playing to go to the national championship one day, and then the next you're on he's gone to Michigan. It seemed like, so it was tough for everybody, but I beyond forgiving him. He's hard to hate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very hard to hate. So
yep.
For me, I'm just one of those people. I choose not to do that. I say it all the time. Resentment is like drinking poison, expecting somebody else to die. So I try not to drink any of that.
There you go.
And with Rich Rod, he's a guy that, he's won 2 and 3 games his first year, multiple stops. It's just the way he builds programs because as we saw last year, how many times was he in the headlines for his culture, the way he's trying to implement it?
Yeah,
it was
multiple
headlines, right?
Yeah,
National headlines, the TikTok dancing, the different statements he made. And Pat McAfee laughing about it on the air, right? Like, yep, that's it. That's him. And, so I do think there was a little bit of a shock to the system, which is why it's I can say it now, after speaking with half a dozen to 8 or 9 of the Neil Brown players that were here left and rejoined Neil Brown at North Texas, by the way. He's going to be good fast there.
Yeah.
I think that Rich Rod purposely kind of let a lot of those guys go because there was just too much friction. Like the way Neil Brown coached ball was I'll give you one example really quick before I toss it back to you. When I was in the Marine Corps, and you can probably relate to this being an Army guy, I don't know how you guys did boot camp, but our boot camp was
basic, but yeah.
We had a senior drill, a senior drill instructor. We had a kill hat that did nothing but destroy us all the time. That was his job. And then we had a guy that was like in between. He would teach us how to march, but he would also kill us. Your senior was that guy that was really loving and would always he would read your mail to you and you'd pass it out to you every night and, give you phone calls. One phone call a month. And so that was probably Neil Brown. Rich Rod is the kill hat. He's the guy that just wants to destroy everybody every day. And it's just it's a different style of coaching, and it is a harder edged level of coaching. It's not saying that Neil Brown was soft necessarily, but it's softer than what Rich Rodriguez is trying to implement because in order for West Virginia to win in this climate, we've always felt like we have to be different. And everybody says that. Like Rich Rod even says this line. Everybody says that they're hard edge, and they really are. But are you really actually?
Yeah,
You know, like, are you really doing that? Because it's easy. Everybody wants to be tough, but who really is being tough? So that's what we try to do.
Well, before we get to segment 2, real quick, just say it right now, without any spring, without any fall, before we talk about positions that could be better. Does West Virginia beat Oklahoma State in Morgantown to start Big 12 play?
I think so.
Jeff,
okay. I do think so. Why you put me on the spot with all your people? You trying to run me out of town? You know, I do think West Virginia is in a little bit better spot overall. Right. I mean, look, you guys are better at quarterback. It's definitely really close at running back, but I could even give you that if you wanted me to. But then we can get into some of the other stuff, maybe even receivers.
We'll save some of that for segment 2, but yeah, I take that.
You were talking about saving all that for the. Okay, I got you now.
Yeah, but just in general, do you get the dub? You say yes. I say yes. I think you guys probably will get the win, but here's probably a little bit of a differentiation. Why? I don't know that we're going to have the full implementation of both the offense and defense by the time we begin Big 12 play, right? I think you're going to have to put a lot of eggs into the Oregon preparation. So it's not like you can cheat. Sometimes you can have a non-conference schedule that allows you to look ahead a little bit, right? Oklahoma State doesn't have that opportunity. So I just don't know that we'll have the offense and the defense cohesive in, you know, all 3 levels of the depth chart by opening Big 12 play.
That's a great point. It's a great point. As a matter of fact, a few years ago, we opened up with Kansas, and we had Pitt the game before Kansas. Can't overlook that. And they had an FCS opponent they drilled by 50 or whatever it was. And it was very well known that Kansas had an eye on us for a couple weeks while we were playing Pitt. Yep. And it is a huge advantage. So that is a great point. West Virginia will also not. I mean, look, we're both going to be coming off tough games when we play each other.
Yeah,
right. We're coming off Virginia. You're coming off Oregon. That's another level. Although Virginia could take another step and be really good, I don't know.
Yeah,
if they take a step, then they'll be a top 20 team. But we'll find out game 3. But yeah,
sure.
Well, you know, and one other quick factor too could be, you know, if you track it, everybody that plays Houston this year in basketball usually loses the next game. It's just that after effect of, holy crap, we just got beat up. You guys could probably be facing some of that from Oregon, you know, coming into that game too.
Well, and even if let's just say that, you know, something magical happens. Let's say we take Oregon to overtime, even if we don't necessarily win. Like, you're right, that's going to be such a physically exhausting experience that it's going to be, I think, a little bit difficult for us to navigate the highs and the lows with such
better that than what it was last year.
Come again?
Better be that than what it was last year, though.
Yeah, getting
not competitive. Just
you would see. I threw you in the doghouse. You got out of the doghouse. You just threw yourself back in it. Probably a good time to get to an ad.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kalia Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. The WNBA has released its 2026 schedule, featuring a 44-game regular season beginning on Friday, May 8th. The league's historic 30th season includes expansion teams Portland Fire and the Toronto Tempo, with opening weekend highlights such as Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever hosting Paige Beckers and the Dallas Wings, and a rematch of the 2025 finals between the Aces and the Mercury. In college hoops, South Carolina handed Vanderbilt its first loss of the season with a dominant 103-74 win. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts the same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment. Putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
All right, buddy. Now we get to roll into segment 2 here. Positionally, you kind of alluded to some of it. I'll steal a little bit of the thunder here. This is super easy for Oklahoma State fans. Did we get better at quarterback? Yeah. Did we get better holistically at running back? Absolutely. Wide receiver, I think you could say the exact same thing. Yes, you do lose Gavin Freeman, but I think what you're bringing in, the Barnes from Wake Forest, is a little bit of an upgrade from Gavin Freeman. No disrespect. I may not be the authority on TikTok dances. That is a Gavin Freeman territory, but I think Barnes is an upgrade there. Whenever you go out and get Bowick, the 4-star Illinois, big body, 6'4", 215-pound wide receiver from Illinois, you got to have that. This staff seemingly had a type at the tail end, and it's a lot of big body wide receivers. We have Matrell Lopez over 6 foot coming back. We have Cameron Powell over 6 foot coming back. We had a couple of additions. So I think if you go position by position for Oklahoma State, by and large, you're going to have a lot of upgrades. Where we do not know whether we have upgrades or not, it's going to be in the offensive line, because the latter half of last year, the O-line actually did improve. They did put us in a position to be at least somewhat competitive, right, the last 4 or 5 games. And we did lose, a handful of those guys. So are we upgraded offensive line? Probably not, unless we see how fall camp kind of rolls around. Defensively, same concept. We are so devoid of, some bodies on the defensive side of the ball. I have no idea what it's going to look like. But again, you could presume that if you bring over, some of the linebackers that you have, like Isaiah Chisholm coming over from UCLA, I think whenever you bring in Johnson from Tulane, 6'5", 235 pounds, to go alongside with some of the guys that you brought back, I think that defensively, maybe we didn't improve at linebacker, but I dang sure don't think there was a drop off. Cornerback, don't know. Safety, don't know. Right? There's a lot of unknowns at Oklahoma State. What about West Virginia? What can you tell me right now off the bat? Cody, I know we're better at these 4 or 5 positions.
Yeah. For me, I think offensive line, obviously, right? West Virginia really dove deep.
Okay.
To the O-line. I mean, you look at what West Virginia went out and got in the O-line, it's pretty impressive. You get 2 first-team all-conference guys to come in from Jacksonville State, which was very welcome. You bring in, obviously, Devin Vass, who was one of the hottest commodities on the market. I'm not kidding. We had to fight Auburn tooth and nail to get him, and they've got big money there, we know.
Right, yeah.
And all that. So, you look at like Wes King, a guy that never gave up a sack in his career from Wyoming. Cam Griffin is the first team all-conference guy at Jack State. Amari Grayson was he was the alignment of the year in the conference and came over. Devin Vass, and then you get Carson Cassidy, a 6'7", 310-pound monster from UConn, who just absolutely road graded a run game for UConn and got Jim Mora an upgraded job, right? Who they were really good the last couple of years. So it's a really revamped unit. And then West Virginia has incumbents on the offensive line that are probably going to stick around and start, right? Two of the 5 were actually good, we feel. Lennon Livingston at center, Nick Cray at left tackle. Don't know if they'll stay in those places positionally.
Right.
And then you add in the fact that you bring in Rick Trickett, a guy who has put 41 guys into the NFL in his career and was in Morgantown for the great offensive lines of the past. He's been in Jacksonville State with Rich Rodriguez, which was why they've had back to back almost 2,000-yard rushers.
Gotcha.
They're just elite together, and they've been coaching together for 30 years. Rick Trickett did take a spell to go to Florida State, win a national championship with Jimbo, but I mean, other than that, he is probably, if he wasn't 78, which he is older, but that. Trust me, he's fine. He would probably be the top 2 or 3 offensive line coach in the sport. So, didn't mean to go so deep on that breakdown, but I'll give you another spot. We're really good. Is probably at, if you're asking me, I feel really good about wide receiver. I do. I think we got better there.
Oh, yeah, you got a healthy Jaden Bray too?
Yeah, hopefully he's going to have to get. I found out today. I looked at the years wrong the other day. I think he may need to get a medical red shirt, second one.
Yeah.
He
He
played.
should be able to, though, right? That should be
Yeah,
pretty
he
easy.
played
only played
virtually
3
no
games last year.
games. Yeah, he played one game, 7 catches.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, he had 7 catches in one game, which is pretty good. But yeah, so you go out and get Teron Francis from LSU, who is, a guy that they really loved and was going to really, really play this year. But then they had the coaching situation blow up. You bring in, a couple other guys. You bring in a USC receiver in Prince Strawn, who had, 30 catches, 500 yards or so whenever he was at Boise State. Didn't play at USC last year due to an injury, so we're hoping that can transfer over.
Okay.
But, obviously you lose Cam Vaughn, which was a huge loss to Miami. I mean, nobody can stand up to Miami, but West Virginia actually didn't want him back for multiple reasons. And then last room I would say is absolutely the defensive line. I think the defensive line upgraded. It's probably not a super popular opinion because I'm counting on a couple guys to really come on. And the number one of those is Toby Hofstra, the Oregon transfer. He's a guy that, when you look at him on film, he's only been playing football for 2 years. He runs 100 meters in 10.4. He's 6'5", 260 pounds.
Yeah.
And he's an NFL talent. If you go turn on his Oregon tape, you can find about 5 or 6 plays where he absolutely dominates Isaiah Worlds.
Yep.
A 6'7", 320-pound left tackle that started for Oregon last year and will be this year. And so, if he can channel some of that and be anything that we feel pretty good. He's young. He's a redshirt freshman.
Yeah, right.
So that's the one part of that. And then you bring in a guy named Ezekiel Durham Campbell from Coastal as well, who is 6'6", 250, and has all the tools along with Holloman, Afogo, and Will LeBlanc. I love all those pickups on the D-line. And then you also return multiple starters on the D-line as well. So that's as part of the unit I personally feel like is going to be stronger, but we need those transfers to fit. If they fit, it could be an elite unit. If they don't, it'll be an average unit.
Dang. Okay. Well, I greatly appreciate the rundown there. Again, there's a lot of unknowns for Oklahoma State. We still have some spots to fill. But again, I think whenever you have a 1-win campaign, the likelihood that you upgraded at, 90% of positions is probably pretty easy to come by. So this was more about the deep dive for you guys. And we're going to dive into a little bit of basketball action. You guys were able to have a nice win the other day to kind of keep pace in the Big 12 race. But thankfully, it's early enough that there's still a lot of room for chaos. Speaking of chaos, don't let chaos drive your Super Bowl or ticket getting or any of that, because our friends with Gametime and FanDuel have you covered. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Gametime is the bee's knees for all of your ticketing needs. There's nothing like the NBA atmosphere, right? The crowd, the energy, the moments that can come to life. Getting tickets, though, right? That's not always so simplistic. This is where Gametime comes in to be the go-to app for you, scoring tickets fast without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs with you, the fans. You're going to pull up Gametime's app, pick the NBA games, and you're going to have tickets that you have locked in within minutes. You're going to love seeing the all price up front, no surprise fees at checkout. Being able to see the view from the seat before buying makes decision-making that much easier. Everything feels quick, intuitive, and stress-free from start to finish. Take the guesswork out of you buying NBA tickets, or any ticket really for that matter, by downloading the Gametime app today. Create an account and use the code LOCKEDON, one word, for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON, one word, for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. And remember, it is gametime.com. Gametime.com today. But that's not the only way that you can celebrate. Ain't that right, Paul?
Yeah, actually, if you want to check out FanDuel right now, it's the last call for football on FanDuel as well. One final Sunday, one last kickoff. The final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close, and we're really soaking it up for football until next year. This is Super Bowl 60 This is the big one. And FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year and potentially all time. Whether you're backing the favorite, riding with the underdog, or building one last same game parlay, this is the game everyone's been looking for. This is where predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines, and every snap feels bigger. It's the perfect way to cap off the season and make Super Bowl even more exciting from the kickoff to the final whistle. If you're a new customer, just bet $5. It'll make you come holla, and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count, because at the Super Bowl, the season is over after that. Last call for football on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started.
All right, Budro, Dino, we're going to put a bow on this thing with some hoops action. Oklahoma State started the season so hot. We have
10-0, right?
What's up?
You guys started out 10-0, didn't you?
Yes, we did. And, we've had some big-time opportunities. We've had some big-time performances, but we have faltered a little bit recently. Talent is not a problem in Stillwater America whatsoever in any capacity. But, I don't know, man. It could be a byproduct of the NIL. I don't know what it is, but it does seem as though that there's times where our players are kind of arguing amongst themselves and with the coach on the sideline. There's just not a bunch of, cohesion currently taking place on the basketball court. Talent, different story. If they can get this thing worked out, because it is still super, super early, we have more than enough to give every team in the league all that they can handle. And obviously West Virginia sitting the same. I think we have almost the same record, 14-7, 14-6, something to that effect. But you guys are sitting way prettier in the Big 12 race, buddy.
Yeah, we've been really good against everybody but the top of the top, right? The cream of the crop. And our schedule really sets us up well to succeed. I mean, if you look at West Virginia's basketball schedule remaining, it is really, you've got one really tough game that you can say probably no chance of winning that one. Outside of that, you're probably the favorite in almost every other game remaining outside of two. So you've got Baylor, obviously, Saturday, Cincinnati the week after that, who you've already thumped. Then you go to Texas. Then you got Texas Tech coming home. By the way, West Virginia is undefeated at home, 13-0. And then you go to UCF, who can be tough, but then you get Utah. Then you get TCU on the road, which can be a tougher game. Then you got you guys on the road, which can be a tough game. Then you got BYU at home. But then you got Kansas State and UCF to end. So I look at it like Baylor, Cincinnati, UCF, Utah, TCU, Oklahoma State, UCF, and Kansas State are all very winnable games. And there's no reason West Virginia can't win the majority of those games. Think how much better West Virginia's season would look too, by the way, if you didn't lose a double overtime thriller to Ohio State, 89-90, and another game where you were up by 12 with 5 minutes to go or 6 minutes to go in that game, and you lost it early in the year. And then the same thing happened against Clemson. You were up 12 in that game with 8 minutes to go, and you lost that game by 3. You could pull those two games off in the non-con. This season looks a lot different, but this team had a lot of growing to do. And while it's not a top of the echelon team, I do think they could win a game in March if they get the right matchup.
Well, yeah, I think you nailed it. Winning at home. It's extremely important. And we were protecting our home court and until recently, right, with losses to Baylor at home. And then we just lost to Iowa State at home. There's no harm in losing to either one of those individuals. But you're not going to win on the road all that often in this league, right? No. Like the opportunities, right? I think you're 8th in the Big 12 or 10th in the Big 12. But the opportunities for either of us to go on the road and beat Arizona, pretty unlikely.
Infinitesimal.
Go on the road to beat BYU in their own home, to beat Houston in their own house. Those are the games that when you're trying to climb up in the Big 12 race that, you're probably not going to get. And if you don't win the games at home that you should win, you put yourself in a position where you're chasing. And that's unfortunately where Oklahoma State is now. Now, because we've lost 2 home games in Big 12 play, we've put ourselves in a position where we have to go knock somebody off on the road that we're not supposed to, just to try to even it back out. So I think that's, if you're a West Virginia fan, that's where you should be most excited. If you can win at home, if you lose almost every single road game, but you win all your home games, right, by process of elimination, you're probably a tournament team.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, the old saying in this league is if you can go 500, you're probably in, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
Yep.
if you're within the league. West Virginia, I think, is in a pretty good spot. I think Oklahoma State is too. You need to start winning again. But yeah, I mean, you look at, especially if you look at what Oklahoma State's done here lately, it's been tough, right? I mean, you barely pulled the game out against K-State.
Yeah.
And then,
we're just not playing team ball, bro. It's just,
yeah.
It's not a lot of team ball. And
it's like the fluctuation in outings too. You get a game where you guys score, 85, 90 points, and then you score 65, in a game where TCU kind of grounds you. I mean, it's just a meat grinder of a conference though. I mean, everybody's recruiting the same kind of talent except for the top 4 or 5. And that's just the way it is, right? I mean, West Virginia, I truly think we're probably we're an alien in this era. Like, truly, we've had 4 coaches in 4 years.
Oh,
I mean, how many teams could say that?
Yeah,
none.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
the thing is we,
because of y'all's doing, right, the DeVries thing that went tatas up without y'all's handing any of it, really.
Yeah. It's all stems from Huggins. It's just like the West Virginia basketball job, very similar to the West Virginia football job, is a unique position nationally because not just anybody can do it, really. And I know that sounds weird. I'm not trying to be unique or different. It's just that culturally, the way West Virginians are. I don't know, how better to really say it. So Bob Huggins was a unique guy, right? Very similar to how, it's the same exact thing with a Gundy, right? It's a very unique guy. You can't you can't replicate that.
Right.
And, God forbid this doesn't work out with Eric Morris. But I mean, there is a scenario where you look 2 coaches down the line and think, man, we just can't replace this Gundy guy, for whatever reason, right? I don't think that's going to happen, by the way. I'm just making a comparison. So that's where we're at. I mean, it's just been rough. So, we should have been a tournament team last year. I mean, you remember me and JT going at it. I mean, it was bracket matrix had us, every single bracket had us in. It was the first time that's ever happened in history. And it was because old Bubba was on the North Carolina. AD was on the council, and of course he got his team in over us. So we would have been a tournament team last year, and yet again here we are again. So I think it speaks to the power of the West Virginia brand still in basketball and what Bob Huggins helped build, and people still want to play for us as a program, and we have great facilities. Yeah, most Big 12 teams do. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited when we play you guys coming up.
Dude, the peak of Huggy Bears press Virginia, you guys were must watch TV. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
it was very unique, games, wasn't it?
But when that stuff was happening, like you could easily set up 2 games just to watch the havoc that Huggy Bear was creating out on the basketball court. And yes, Oklahoma State fans, it's been a long time. But we used to
that was during the Marcus Smart era.
No, dude, before Marcus Smart. See, that's the crazy part is even when we had LeBron Nash and Marcus Smart and Markel Brown and Michael Cobbins, we still didn't win.
I don't feel like Cobbins belongs in the same conversation as the other 3 you mentioned.
I mean, Cobbins had some injury problems. Before he got injured his senior year, he was averaging like 16.2 points a game. And then he got hurt, and we didn't have an inside presence. We didn't have a defensive inside presence for the remainder of the season. We had to shift LeBron Nash down low, and it just kind of, I don't know, made things kind of crazy. But yeah, we had fun then, but we still weren't all that good. It's been like 25 years since we've been good. like legit Oklahoma State good. But it's crazy thinking about it too, though, dude, because when I was growing up, like, I never thought that Oklahoma State wouldn't always have sellouts in basketball. We wouldn't always be in the tournament year after year after year after year. You know what I mean?
So Sutton, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's been a long time. I see some Oklahoma State fans, even a couple in the comments here, that are, you know, completely out on Lutz. I'm not. I think he is still a good.
How can you be out on him? Honestly, I'm just asking a question.
I don't know.
It's year two.
I think some of it is people are just longing for.
He was just 10-0 just a couple games ago.
Yeah, no, I don't. Well, I don't get that. My only concern is, you know, I've heard from really good authority. I talked to you about it, that our NIL next year is going to go up to 10-12 mil.
Yeah, so you'll be good.
And the recruiting class that we have coming in, exceptional. That's great.
Who's that on?
Yeah, but there is going to be some concerns because if it seems like he's losing this roster.
Oh, you're afraid people are going to start flipping?
No. It seems like he's having difficulty.
Okay.
Keeping everybody on the same page. You know what I mean? Sometimes throwing more money.
You're not talking about on the court.
I am talking about on the court.
Oh,
I'm talking about like our star players sometimes just take over games in a bad way, and they just start throwing up random shots, and it doesn't seem like Lutz can stop them. Like it's a runaway train he can't control. But then when he can control it and we're hitting shots, we can play with anybody in the country, anybody in America.
Yeah.
It's a Jekyll and Hyde scenario. And some of it is on Lutz, like for sure.
Oh, it has to be if that's the case.
But at the same point in time, he's the one who brought all of this star talent in here. He's the one that's helped the NIL grow so much and get people to reinvest into Cowboy hoops. So hopefully he can just figure it out. If he can
What's
figure it out.
What's y'all's recruiting class rated coming in? What's y'all's recruiting class rated coming in?
Like number 6 or 7 in the country?
I wonder what ours is in comparison. I bet it's close. Got to be getting close.
Wet Blanket in the comments says we're way too soft. Yeah, that very well may be the case. At least maybe not physically, but mentally, yes. Again, whenever your best player, he can score 40 points on any given night. He can also check out, go 1 for 13, and get all so frustrated that he fouls out of the ball game because he's checked it. You know what I mean? Like there's still some of that happening, and it makes you wonder again. Why were some of these individuals put in a position or I don't know, X, Y, or Z? Now I'm just spitballing, but I think the talent is there. The interest in Cowboy basketball is back, especially from the recruits and the transfer portal. I just think Lutz has to correct a couple things, and if he can do that and he can get this team to buy in. All you got to do in this league is kind of finish right where we're both fighting for, that 7-8-ish spot.
Somebody in my comments said they just trolled a K-State podcast who were talking about how bad we were.
How bad who? West Virginia was?
Yeah, we just beat them last
right
night.
After you just beat them?
Yeah, that's exactly what they said. Yeah, isn't that
Sounds
crazy?
Logical.
Yeah. It was an ugly game last night. It was in the 40s. I mean, but that's our style. I mean, I hope it changed. But last night coming into the game, we were averaging 66.6 possessions per game. So I'm like, can that just change by like 1/10 of a point?
Well, if you won, it probably did. There you go.
Yeah,
there you go. If you won, I mean, you probably are going to tip that numerical scale there. So
yeah.
Anywho, bro, Hamuli, thank you so much for taking over when I was out for a bit and making this thing work on my channel, your channel, the people who regularly come on this show to watch Oklahoma State stuff. I know they're insanely appreciative. So thanks again. It's going to be fun to do this on a fairly regular basis. Hopefully. I am in Morgantown, West Virginia, when the Cowboys head on up there to begin Big 12 football play, and we'll be able to link up and have some fun, brother man. Until then, y'all know the drill. Y'all make sure that you go follow Paul, because if you've subscribed to this channel in the last month, you're subscribing to Paul. Let's keep it real. All righty, y'all. We greatly appreciate you. Go hit the follows. Available on all of your podcasts, visually as well on YouTube. I say God bless. Go Pokes. Later, my taters. Paul.
Don't forget to cue them country roads, Bob.
Baby. Later, taters.